Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Amani's Vibe, where things are a vibe and where we always like to keep things positive, all right? No cussing, no hurling of accusations, no, unless it's about the show. We're talking about the show. And I am actually doing recaps and reviews of Love Island Games Season 2, Episode 13, according to Crave in Canada, and Episode 15, according to Peacock in America, okay? So a lot's gone down, so let me go through my notes. Okay, Josh, imagine this. Josh is pissed off at Isaiah. Josh is very intense on Love Island Games too. I don't know what's wrong with him or what happened to him before the show or why him and Shannon broke up a year or so ago or what he's been through. But the Josh I remember was such a sweetheart. But that is not who he is. He is very intense all the time. He's really upset with Isaiah, but Isaiah was part of the Power Squad. But is that Isaiah's fault? No, hello, it's not Isaiah's fault. Oh my goodness, Josh. But he's very intense, and Isaiah, what I like about it, I really like Isaiah actually on this season, like way better than on his season. He just stands for whatever, like he just tells it like it is. He's playing the game, but he's also just so straight up that I just love that about him. And he just went through this with Toby, the other angry person, and Tyreek, about him talking to to Josh and Kendall. Like, it's just like, oh man, this show. But I mean, you know what? You know what's happening. We're getting close to the end. We're thinking about the money. Okay, that's right. Oh, I'm still talking, but remember, like and subscribe. So the Power Squad has now officially kicked Andrea out. They're like, okay, see you. We don't need you anymore. Power Squad over. So Sydney and Toby talk, and Sydney feels like really good. She feels really good with him, okay? Garbie is sad over Kendall. She's really missing him, but she's still trying to hang tough. And she talks to Casey, about maybe them coupling up. Johnny talks to Josh to say that, yeah, he's cool with Tyreek and Toby, but he's not that cool. Johnny's trying to make sure that he's got his eggs in a few baskets. You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, I'm cool with them. But you know what? Josh, we cool too, right? So then Garbie, the next day, she wakes up, she's feeling feisty and motivated. So it's like, okay, forget about this sadness from before. Kendall's gone, but you know what? I'm motivated. I'm going to cause some trouble today, okay? Johnny is still he's trying not to act too concerned, but he is concerned about where he stands, especially with Tyreek and Toby. Okay, so he's talking to them, and Tyreek says like, yo, look, Johnny, I can look you in the eye and say that I want the finals to be with me, you, and Toby, like straight up, okay? But with Tyreek, you never know what. The thing with Tyreek is I actually believe him because he says what he means and he means what he says so far. And he does seem to like Johnny so far. And of course, production isn't going to show us everything he's really saying. But, Johnny's just all about checking in the temperature. So he checked in with Josh before. Now he's checking in the temperature with Tyreek. Then he's checking the temperature with Isaiah. Okay, so he's just checking all the temperature. Where am I? Who am I going to be with? Like, is Isaiah part of this posse still? Are we going to be cool, Josh? So that's where Johnny's head is at. So next we have Toby and Tyreek chatting in the sauna. I mean, that's normal. That's a good place to get away from everybody. Okay, and they're talking about the competition. And Tyreek, he's very serious about this competition stuff. It's like he really goes around thinking about this all night. Toby has just looked very intense and angry. I've already told y'all about Toby and his other personality. And you'll see it. I'm sure it's going to come out even more soon. I'm still not over it from last season, like I told you, but Toby and Tyreek are in the sauna, wrapped up in their towels. And Tyreek tells Toby that he has to make a decision. You know, that he's telling him, look, yo, Toby, you know what? Nice guys finish last. You can't be a nice guy, right? And he's basically saying this because Toby is paired up with Sydney, you know, and Sydney is basically, you know, feeling safe and secure with Toby. Like, she doesn't really have to do much to make it to the end. And Tyreek's like, no, you need more than that. He's like, you need to get a new partner. And Toby's like, who is there? And Tyreek suggests that he get with Garbie. You know, and they're all friends from the UK and stuff. So Johnny is talking to Gabby about the final three, because this is Johnny is just concerned about being in the final three, and does he think it will really be with like Gabby and whoever else, and will Tyreek and Toby really include him? So this is all he's talking about. So Toby talks to Tyreek and actually takes that in, like, yeah, you know what, you're right. Forget Sydney, because, you know, Sydney's just all about serving looks. So, you know what, I should get with Garbie. So Toby actually goes. Okay. So Toby makes his pitch to Garbie, which I don't think was very smart, about recoupling, because he thinks that Sydney is just there to serve looks. And he's saying that because that's what Sydney said, and also because Tyreek got in his head while they were in the sauna. And Garbie's just like taking in, like, wait a minute, weren't you just Judas kissing me the other day? Like, you want what? You want to couple up with me? Because I'm probably going to couple up with Casey, right? So then Garbie goes to talk to Casey about it. Casey says he wants to talk to her about a game plan for the two of them. Then Garbie says, you know what? I'm going to tell Sydney what Toby said about coupling up with me, okay? So she's like, yeah, because remember, she's feeling feisty in the morning. She's like, we're going to call this Operation Get the Power Squad Back. Get them back for what they did to them. So then they get a text, and they find out that there's going to be a Vegas night. And Sydney says, oh, she's so scared. And she asks Toby, like, Toby, are you going to protect me? Because she thinks he will. That's what she thinks Toby's there for. She's there to serve looks, but she's got Toby, her gladiator, by her side, so he will protect her. And next we have Johnny, Tyreek, and Gabby say that they want Josh and Andrea out. Johnny seems to really believe in this squad, that this alliance. However, I don't believe in anything when it comes to this show. So then Garbie does decide to let Sydney know about Toby's plan. So she tells Sydney what Toby said about wanting to couple up with her. And then as they're all getting dressed, Sydney then tells all the girls in the dressing room right away, which includes Gabby, who's part of that alliance that's in the Power Squad with Tyreek, Toby, and Johnny. So that's not really smart, okay? So you see Gabby's face like, okay, this is tea. So then they find out that they are to go, I'm just going to call it the garden, to go to the garden and sit next to the girl that they want to couple up with. This is the final chance to couple up. And Toby really goes down into the garden right away and tries to sit with Garbie, who's sitting with Casey. And then literally Casey and Toby are fighting over the chair. Well, it's really Toby fighting over the chair, because it's like, what? And of course now Sydney is completely upset and she's completely pissed off. And I can't even believe Toby's doing this. But I already told y'all, Toby has another side. And Toby just looks completely stupid now, because now he stomps off. And now he has to sit beside Sydney, who is completely turned off. And then they have a little tete-a-tete. And he basically tells her the same thing that Johnny told Angelina in the other episode, that he doesn't think that she believes in herself. I don't think you believe in yourself. It's not about me believing in you. It's you don't believe in yourself. Like, what is this about? Like, these guys telling the women, like, oh, you have low self-esteem when it comes to these games. Believe in yourself. I don't know. But you see his eyes in this image? Toby, man, he, okay? Anyways, I'm just sitting here watching the show and thinking like, this madness that him and Tyreek came up with and they acted on so fast, like not even being sneaky with it. To me, that's what may actually get him and Sydney cut out of the show. I think it was so stupid. Anyway, the first Vegas game is called Tilting Table, and Toby and Sydney are the first. Okay, and you can literally cut the tension in the air with a knife. And Sydney is crashing out. She's crying. She walks away crying. She just needs a minute to get herself together, saying she thought that he had good intentions. She walks away and says she doesn't want to talk to him. Oh my gosh, it's just so dramatic, you guys. It's just so dramatic. But then she does come back, and her and Toby have to do this game. She's really angry. And they have to decide who are the two people in this tilting board, right? There's balls that they're going to try to get to go into the names of the couples, and who is the couple that they want to get out. And Toby says Garbie and Casey. And just before that, Sydney's like, Garbie's my best friend in here. But it's just, Sydney was just still so angry. She's like, you choose, right? Okay, so they choose Garbie and Casey, and the balls actually go in. Okay, so then the next time Sydney switches up and says, no, I want it to be Andrea and Josh. Okay, so then they get the ball in 2 times for Josh and Andrea, and it went in 1 time for Garbie and Casey. Okay, so next we have Lucinda and Isaiah. They also choose Garbie and Casey, and they get all 3 of their balls in. Then we get Casey and Garbie, who decide they're going to go, of course, for Tony and Sydney. They lose the first ball, but they get the second and the third balls in. Then Josh and Andrea go for Sydney and Toby, of course, and they get all 3 balls in, okay? Next, it's Gabby and Johnny, and they go for Garbie and Casey as well. Then it's Tyreek and Justine, who also go for Garbie and Casey, and I'm like, what? What is happening? Anyway, so the results end up being that Garbie and Casey, they have 10 points against them in the table tilt, so they are now vulnerable. So that's the first game, okay? Then I just have here that the next game is brutal, okay? So far right now, though, what I find is interesting is that Justine and Tyreek are not a target at all. They are sailing free. They got no balls. They got no balls. And so then the next game is where, okay, this next game is so brutal. It's like a game of shuffleboard. The first one was like a tilted board. I may have said shuffleboard by mistake, but it's like shuffleboard. And they use 2 little pucks that they they shuffle down. And so if they get to a certain point and it doesn't go off the board, right? That means they can't do anything. But the object of this is that if both partners stay within the lanes of the shuffleboard, they can get 2 martini glasses to throw in the faces of the couple that they want to. So Garbie and Casey go first because they are now the vulnerable couple from the very first Tilted game, right? And they choose to throw martini glasses. I don't know why I'm laughing. It was terrible. To throw the martini glasses in the faces of Toby and Sydney, of course. Okay? So then next is Josh and Andrea. So they only have 1 glass, I think, because Andrea's went off of the board, but Josh lets her, oh no, they I don't know why I'm laughing. It's terrible. Anyway, so now they also chose Toby and Sydney, and Andrea really chucks that martini at Sydney. Like, it's pretty brutal. Okay, so then the next couple up is Lucinda and Isaiah. They go up next. And it's just like, And then Isaiah goes, and it's all tense because you don't know if they're going to land on the board, if they're going to knock one of the pucks off the board, what's going to happen. And the numbers there will let them know how many glasses they can get to throw on the people. So Isaiah and Lucinda, they do have the puck on the board, and they go over to the martini glass. They have a little tete-a-tete. Everybody's looking to wonder who they're going to throw the martinis at. Everybody's whispering, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And they pick it up, and then they, of course, say, and it's so funny because the show literally moves in slow motion. So you wonder, like, will they pick, like, are they going to pick Toby because Toby's part of, or are they going to pick, you know, Johnny and Isaiah and Lucinda pick. They pick a, So then Lucinda goes through a whole spiel about, I couldn't pick you because you're my best friend in here. I couldn't pick Garbie because she's already vulnerable. So then that left it between you two and you two. And so Lucinda and Isaiah choose to throw their 4 glasses of martini in the faces of Gabby and Johnny. Okay, so Johnny is like, what the... You know, 1, because of Lucinda, 2, because of Isaiah, right? So as you can see, as the game is brewing, you just really don't know who you can trust. So now the next 2 to go up to the shuffleboard are Gabby and Johnny, okay? And Johnny and Gabby pick Josh and Andrea, who get the wine chucked on them, or martini, sorry, the martini, the yellow. I hope it's not, I don't think it's real, because they're not allowed to really drink a lot on the show. But anyways, they get the bottles chucked at them. So they get the 2 things. And Johnny looks like he wants to, the way Johnny chucks it at Josh and is laughing, like he really enjoyed that. The way some of them throw this martini stuff, it's a little, you know, a little vicious or a lot vicious, but, you know. So next, of course, our menace to society is up next, which is Tyreek and Justine. And so you really don't know who Tyreek and Justine are going to choose. And it's really been interesting because Justine, through this whole night, has been completely under the radar. Like, there hasn't been a storyline. Now, that could be editing. You know, we don't know what editing do. We don't know if her and Tyreek got closer because they really have not been, like, main characters in this at all. So then they get those martini glasses. And then Justine is asking Tyreek, what are you going to say? Because we all know that Tyreek is a loose cannon, right? And then, so Tyreek chooses Josh and Andrea, and Josh and Tyreek, of course, have an argument because Josh and Tyreek are both like, they really want to hurt each other. The thing that is so strange with this is Justine really looks like she enjoys throwing it in Andrea's face. And then Josh is upset because he's like, obviously, Justine has no loyalty to me. Obviously, this is a Tyreek and Johnny show. And then Tyreek, because he's so sarcastic, because Josh is like, they've been throwing it right up Josh's nose. And Tyreek says, oh, I thought you might want to go see Kendall and Nicola. And Josh is like, what do you mean? I'm the one, I'm fighting to be here. I want to be here. Like, why would you say that, you know? So then the final couple is Sydney and Toby. And of course, they also choose Andrea and Josh. Oh my gosh. I'm watching it again. Sorry, you guys. To throw the martini glasses at. And like, Toby just really marveled. Like, he threw it right in Josh's mouth. Like, I don't know, you guys. I'm watching it, and I wasn't as stressful watching it, to be honest. I didn't mind watching it live, but honestly, this show is crazy. So At the end of the second, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm laughing, and I'm sorry everybody and Josh, because I know things are a little tense. So at the end of this second one, the shuffleboard, of course, the next vulnerable couple is, of course, Andrea and Josh, and they have 5 points. Okay. Okay, so now we get to the final Vegas game. Okay. Okay, so we had the tilting table, and then we had the shuffleboards. Okay, so now we are coming to the final one, which is like it's a card game. Okay, woohoo! And I just, I'm still thinking about how Justine and Tyreek are just sailing through all of this with nothing coming at them. Josh is completely pissed. Him and Tyreek, I think if they could have a fist fight, they would, because they just keep going back and forth and having these side arguments, and it is not cute. Anyway, Andrea and Josh now with 5 points, so they are now vulnerable. And then Tyrese, of course, yes, he's melting off to Josh. Josh is getting pissed off. They continue to go back and forth. Josh, I don't know, like it is, like I said, it's so strange how he is. Anyway, the final game is a card game, and basically they get to pick cards, however many, but if they say they pick out 2 cards and then they pick out a third card and it's a joker, it means that then they have no points. Okay, so the points are based on the cards that they choose. Okay, so first we have okay, yes, so sorry, so final game's a card game. Okay, so the Joker can wipe out all of their cards, all right? So Garbie and Casey get 4 cards, okay? Then Sydney and Toby get a Joker, so that ends their turn, all right? Andrea and Josh are next, and their first card draw is good, and so is their second, so they end up having 4 cards. Tyreek and Justine go next, and they get 3 cards and then 4 cards. So they have 4. Justine is really quiet through this episode. I just keep having that in my notes, and she just is really letting Tyreek take the lead. It's just strange to watch. Anyway, Johnny and Gabby go, and Johnny pulls a joker, so they have no cards. Lucinda and Isaiah go. They have 3 cards, and then on the 4th turn, they actually get a 4th card, so no joker. So now what they do with the cards is they have to write the person that they want voted off. Who is the couple that they wanted voted off on their cards, all right? So Josh and Andrea, who picked all 4 cards, they put on their cards Toby and Sydney. Lucinda and Isaiah choose Johnny and Gabby. Okay, so now there's 5 for Johnny and Gabby, and there's 4 for Toby and Sydney when they're turning around. Casey and Garbie also write Toby and Sydney, and Tyreek and Justine also choose Johnny and Gabby. Okay, so then Tyreek and Toby, then they have a tiff. The best friends are fighting, y'all. Tyreek and Toby are having a fight because of this game. So now it's basically a tie for Sydney and Toby and Johnny and Gabby, okay? So now they each have the same amount of people that put their names on the cards. So now it's for each of them to pick a card, all right? So Toby picks a card 7. So it's Toby and Sydney and Johnny and Gabby. And then when Johnny turns over a card, it's not a joker, but it's the number 6. Which means that, of course, a 7 is higher. All right? Meaning now him and Gabby are vulnerable. Okay? So now here we have Sydney's all smiles because she's somehow escaped everything with this. And then a text happens to let Johnny and Gabby know that they are vulnerable. So now here comes Ariana. So there are 3 vulnerable couples, okay? We've got Josh and Andrea. We've got Johnny and Gabby. And we've got Garbie and Casey. Okay, and as long as my explanation is taking is as long as this show was, I'm doing my best here, y'all. I'm struggling, man. I'm tired. Okay, so the three vulnerable couples are Josh and Andrea, Johnny and Gabby, Garbie and Casey, and one couple is going to be dumped. So they kept saying one couple was going to be dumped tonight, okay? But now there's one more thing left, and it's a roulette wheel. They have to spin a wheel, okay? Whew, it's the last game. So basically, so in this final game, they can either choose to spin the roulette wheel, right? That will decide if they stay on or go off, or they can let the Islanders decide their fate, okay? Who's going to be safe. They have to draw a card, and Johnny ends up drawing the highest card, so which means that so he can trust, he decides that he will leave it to the couples to spin the wheel. He says he will trust the couples. Josh and Andrea also decide that they are going to let the Islanders decide, let the couples choose. But Garbie and Casey, when it comes to the roulette wheel, you know what? They're like, you know what? I'm not going to trust these people, Garbie says. She's like, they're going to spin the wheel. And so if they spin the wheel and the wheel garners them safe, that means that Garbie and Casey will be there and one of the other two couples will be kicked off, okay? So we've got Josh and Andrea, Johnny and Gabby, and Garbie and Casey. And so it is time for Ariana to spin the wheel, which will either eliminate Garbie and Casey or let them stay there. And the show ends. It ends. So we don't know. We do not know who got eliminated. But the show had a first look today. And so to me, the first look made it seem that you cannot tell. You really can't tell if Garbie and Casey got eliminated or if Josh and Andrea got eliminated, and we actually will not know until tonight. And if you do listen to this very long and confusing recap review, just because you like the sound of my voice and because it was somewhat entertaining, thank you so much. Because if it was painful for you, it was painful for me. But still, you know what? Please like and subscribe because it was a lot of work. And that's what's up.